Similar right triangles. Okay, so in this one, we're given this kind of diagram here where we have two triangles and we are shown that they have these right angles. So that was in the name. We know we're going to have some right triangles and that they're going to be similar. So it tells us to find the length of x. So if we already know that they're similar, what we want to do is match up the corresponding parts here. So we want, I need to turn my pen on. So we know that the 90s match up. That's pretty easy. And then we also know that these match up because they're called vertical angles. So these two angles here have to be the same. Because whenever there are two lines crossing like that, we can go across that vertex and they will match. So right away, I know I can go across here and these will correspond. And then I can also go across from the 90s and those will correspond. And I know that's kind of messy looking, but I wanted to make sure you understand how I'm picking the corresponding angles. So now I have the top triangle and I have the bottom triangle. And that's just how I'm going to refer to it. So I have top and I have bottom like this. And I'm just being a little lazy here. I'll write out top and bottom just so that you can see it. So everything for the top triangle is going to go on the top of my proportion. Everything for the bottom triangles is going to go on the bottom of my proportion. So the top, and let's start with across from the 90. So on the top I have x, and then if I go across from the 90 on the bottom, I have 5. And now we're going to go to the other sides here. So I want to go across from my vertical angle on the top, I have 2. And if I go across from my vertical angle on the bottom triangle, I have 2.5. So now I have a proportion. And what I want to start doing is cross multiplying. So I have 2.5 times x equals 5 times 2. Yeah. So I have 2.5x because we just squish those together. And then 5 times 2 is 10. And then I want to divide by 2.5. Like that. 2.5 divided by 2.5 is 1. So x comes down. And then this is going to be 4. 10 divided by 2.5 is 4. The only reason I know that one off the top of my head is I know 2.5 plus 2.5 is 5. And there are 2 5s in 10. So if it makes 2 of them, I need 2 of them to get to 5. And 2 5s to get to 10. Then I have 4 2.5s. So it's just kind of a weird way I break it down in my head. But you can also use the calculator. It is available on here. But if we scroll down, we can see the answer is 4. All right, so we are going to do this a few more times. Whoop, gotta click my cursor. Next. Okay, so this one is a little bit different because we have to keep in mind this is one triangle. And then we also have this larger one, which is the other triangle here. So, and I'm trying to draw this. So we have a red triangle and a blue triangle. So I'm going to go blue and I'll go red like this. So everything for the red triangle is going to go on top. Everything for the blue triangle is going to go on the bottom. And hopefully that makes sense. So we have a small red triangle and a large blue triangle. So now what we want to do is do that across from the 90 so that we can see. So first, across from the 90 for the red triangle is 5. And across from the 90 on the blue triangle, this one, you just have to remember, it's not just 10, it's the whole length. So it's 5 plus 10 equals 15. So it's 15. Whoops. That'd be helpful if I wrote it in the right spot there. I meant to write that down here, 15, because we're going across from the 90s here. Now what we want to do is the other one we have. And if we think of this as height, we have the height of both triangles. So in this case, we were doing kind of like the 90 degree across from the 90, across the 90. And then on this side, we're doing the height, right? Oops. And I mixed my G and my G up there for some reason. So I'm going to go back over here to blue. So in my blue triangle, the height is 6. In my red triangle, the height is x. So now, and I know I made that very colorful. I was just trying to be a little dramatic, showing you how I filled those in. So we just want to match up the corresponding parts. So we can always match up right across from the 90 here. But then we need to decide what other piece do I have. And the other one I had two sides across from the vertical angle. So I know those correspond to each other. In this case, I have two heights. All right, so what I'm going to start doing is cross multiplying. So I have 5 times 6, and that's going to equal 15 times x. 5 times 6 is 30, equals 15 times x is just 15x. To solve that, I divide by 15 on both sides because I want to get x all by itself. 30 divided by 15 is 2. 15 divided by 15 cancels out because any number divided by itself is 1. And then I get x. So our answer is 2. All right, next one. Okay, so now we have one that was a little similar to what we started with on the other one. So we still have the 90s, and we can go, gotta click my pen. So we can go across from the 90s, like this. And here I'm gonna write, so we'll write, this is the left triangle, this is the right triangle, just meaning that it's left and then it's right. They're both right triangles, but what I'm talking about is the position, the left side and the right side. So we have left and we have right, like this, okay? And so the first number that I keep having you grab is across from the 90. So that's gonna go on this side together. And we're putting that in orange for whatever reason this time. So on the left triangle, across from the 90, I have 6. So left and across from 90. That's why it goes over here. On the right triangle, across from the 90, so right triangle, across from the 90, it's 7. So just this is kind of like a map on where to put things. For the second one, whoops, darn it, I didn't need to actually mark it yet. Last time we went this vertical angle, and then we had the sides that were across from here, like this. So I know these vertical angles match right here, and then we just went across. Well, there's nothing there, and there's nothing there. So I know I actually have this other side. So that's perfectly fine. I can still use this other side because there's nothing here on this opposite side to use. Like if I keep going on the 90s. So instead of using, or 90s, I'm sorry, vertical angles. Instead of using across from the vertical angles, I'm going to use next to the vertical angle here. So right next to this vertical angle, or in between this vertical angle and the 90, I have 3.5 on the right. So I have 3.5 on the right. And then on the left triangle, in between 90 and the vertical angle, I have x. So hopefully that was not too terribly crazy for you there. But you just have to make sure you're matching the corresponding parts up. So x, sorry, 6 times 3.5. Don't know why I said x there. And then 7 times x. So let's see. I'm going to go ahead and grab my calculator here. So I have 6 times 3.5 equals, and with this app, it writes right over the top of that. So I end up with 21 equals 7x. Yeah, 7 times x. And then I'm going to divide by 7 on both sides. So I end up with 3 equals 7 divided by 7 cancels, and x comes down. All right, so I have 3. Check. Yay. All right, one more. Okay, so now we have one that's almost exactly like what we did on the example. So that's kind of nice. Oh, it's a little different. So I've been having you go across from the 90 each time. Well, there's nothing here. So that means that we can't go right across from the 90. But we can still use these same references to make sure we're grabbing the correct things. So I'm going to go, this is top and this is bottom again, just so that I have a label. So I have top, bottom. I'm going to set up my proportion like this. So the first number we're going to grab is in between the 90 and the vertical angle here. Okay? So in between, not across from it because we don't have anything there. So in between, on the bottom, I have, let's see, what do I want to write this in? We'll write this one in blue. Even though blue was across here, we'll go ahead and write this one in blue. So we want this length here, in between. So on the bottom, that's 7, and in between the 90 and the vertical angle here, is 6 on the top. So I'm going to go back to my pink. We can actually go across from the vertical angle, and there is something there this time. So across from the vertical angle on the top is 3. Across from the vertical angle on the bottom is x. All right, let's go ahead and work this out. So we get 6 times x and 7 times 3. And I want to make sure. All right, I did set that up correctly. Just looks like we're going to end up with a decimal. I know it's a decimal because 21 is not going to end up dividing nicely by 6 here. That's why I was questioning it for a moment. So 6 divided by 6, we get x because they cancel. And then we just need to know what is 21 divided by 6. Help if I click on the calculator when I did it. Equals, so we get 3.5. 3.5. All right, let's go ahead and check it. Uh-oh, I took a screenshot of my window here. Sorry. Clicking on the wrong buttons here. So I get 3.5. We're going to click check. All right, that was it. We finished that one.